to the MR2 Insights podcast, where we explore the world of technology and speak with industry leaders about their experiences and insights. I'm your host, James Campbell, with over 15 years of experience from help desk support all the way to IT management. On this show, we'd like to dive into the latest trends, hottest debates, and biggest challenges facing the tech industry today. And on today's show, I'm pleasure to have Tony Lama, CRO for Edify. Tony, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, James. Happy Friday. Thanks for having us.
Yep, happy Friday. It's a lovely Friday here in Southern California. We've been getting hit with rain like crazy. And today is like one of the first days I can actually see the sun outside, so it's going to be a nice Friday.
Same here in South Florida. I live where people vacation, so I never complain about our weather.
Oh, okay. So you know exactly how it is. You're at Edify. Why don't you give me a little bit of background about yourself? How'd you get to Edify? And a little bit of history about you.
Sure. I've been with Edify for about 4 months, but I've been in the contact center technology space the entirety of my professional career, about 26 years. I'm a dangerously technical sales human. I lead here at Edify. I lead the global sales organization, our partner organization, our services team, as well as our customer success organization. I've been in the contact center technology space, as I mentioned, the entirety of my professional career. I've documented, trained, deployed, supported, sold contact center technology for 26 years, having started my career at a company that was then called Aspect. Today, it's better known as Alvaria, where I spent about 18 years. Then was at AWS and part of the Amazon Connect launch team. I was at Twilio, where I led the global Flex business there for some time. And then most recently jumped into some startups, and now here at Edify, where I'm excited to be leading a great team that is really bringing to market a phenomenal solution that's solving real problems for our customers.
That's great. What made you decide to go down that road of just like contact center solutions and kind of continuing that path along your career?
It's interesting because I kind of stumbled upon it. I was a corporate trainer and courseware developer, and took on a job at a small startup that was then called Sell It. Eventually, through acquisitions, it became Aspect. And when you're documenting products and you're training, you become an expert. And I always had a passion, of course, for dealing with customers, being in front of customers. So very, very quickly thereafter, found myself becoming a subject matter expert, getting pulled into customer demos, getting pulled into deployments, solving real customer problems. And then my kind of role started to kind of evolve. And every other year, I was in a new role, and then ultimately ended in the as some would call the dark side of sales. But it's a place I really love, primarily because I get a real opportunity to hear customer problems and then help them map our solutions to their problems. I enjoy hiring very technical salespeople. I don't like the hand wavy type of sales folks. So the people on my team, we tend to dive deep, meaningfully understand our customers' problems, and then really try to solve their problems with our solutions or partner solutions as well. So it's been an interesting journey over 26 years that I've enjoyed. And this is a great space, primarily because, look, I mean, we're customers, we're consumers, we deal with contact centers. We're wildly disappointed on a regular basis with the experiences that we receive, whether we call our service providers, our mobile carrier, our electric company. So for me, I'm kind of always on this journey of how do we fix this customer experience problem that so many companies continue to face even after 3 decades of being in this space.
It's interesting when you bring up that point, because it's something that I haven't necessarily thought about too much, just the experiences of contact centers in general. It wasn't until I had a few more podcasts with another gentleman who's kind of in a similar space. And he talked about generational demands as far as like millennials and how there are only really truly loyal to about 5 different brands. And based on that loyalty, it's like, what do you have, or kind of like, what do they give, and what's the experience that they give you as far as like either a contact center, or if it's either how they customer service online, whether it's just a chat or the ability just to kind of help the customer. And because of that, this is how important that is for a business in order to keep somebody and also to keep a customer, to make it regular, as they would call it.
Yeah, absolutely. We find that I'm not in particular a millennial, but I certainly like to behave as one. And I'll tell you that for me, it's, and I think generally for all customers and consumers, like We just want to do things on our own, quickly, in a frictionless manner, and to be known and understood. And that's been the challenge that contact centers have been facing for years, but the technologies just have not been able to catch up.
Mhm.
So, one of the things that I particularly like to talk to customers about is that the problem isn't alone the technology stack, but really thinking about the end-to-end experience, right? So, how do your customers engage with you? What are the modalities across which they engage with you, and how do you can create and craft consistent experiences, making it easier for customers to just get access to the information they need, solve the problems that they have in a very frictionless, simple manner, and then be able to very quickly escalate to a live human in the event that their problem needs a bit more empathy, is a bit more complex. There's been a lot of talk, as you know, James, about generative AI and conversational AI, with obviously the excitement around ChatGPT. And the reality is that I do think that the traditional contact center will evolve and transform over the next 5 to 10 years. But there will always be a place for humans. First of all, humans drive and architect those experiences. And those experiences aren't always going to be perfect. But then there's going to be moments where you need to escalate. And when those calls get routed to agents, what's most frustrating is that we're asked to repeat the same information over and over again, like, who are you? Even though I already authenticated on your mobile application, or I already authenticated in your automated attendant. It's frustrating to get asked by the agent the same questions again. So there's a role for the agent, but the importance is, of course, to arm that agent with information to very quickly solve the customer's problem, do it in an empathetic manner, right? And reduce your total talk time, because that obviously equates to cost in a contact center. We're diving deep already here.
Yeah,
so.
no, I totally agree. Everything that you said, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
So from perspective of talking about, Edify, what some of
Yeah.
the services that they offer and some of the challenges that you mentioned, how can they approach and basically fix that or be an extension of your organizations like contact centers?
Totally. And it's one of the key reasons why I joined Edify is because I found an opportunity to solve some of these problems in a very unique way. So what is Edify? Who is Edify? So Edify is a 4-year-old company started by two very brilliant humans who were lifetime friends, started in the voice over IP world many moons ago, and found their way naturally into contact centers and customer engagement. They built this platform. So what is it? Edify, very, very simply put, kind of brings to life the dream of an always available, global, easy to manage, real life omni-channel communications platform for really all of your customer engagement needs. It's a cloud native solution. So if you think of it in very simple terms, it provides you unified communications, contact center as a service, a platform as a service, all in one ubiquitous, globally available architecture. To kind of speak to the architecture, our platform lives across 37 distinct geographies across the globe, a combination of AWS as well as GCP, providing a very high degree of availability, and obviously reducing any single point of failures as well in the underpinnings of the architecture. But really, like when you get down into the product, it is a no-code conversational experience designer. And I think, I'm not sure if I've spoken to you about this in the past, but like our point of view is that customer care doesn't begin and end in a contact center. And you and I both know this, right? Customer experiences at times, as I mentioned a moment ago, begin in a store or on a web property. They extend to your billing department, they extend to the contact center, or even to technicians that are sent on site, a truck roll for a technical issue you're having at home with your service provider. The problem that we have is that the technologies that were developed to solve customer engagement across all these different modalities today live in silos. And right, these are real humans trying to engage with a company, and these experiences, frankly, are fractured. And it baffles me that after almost 3 decades in this space, that the technology providers that are the legacy providers, even the cloud providers, which I would call version 1 cloud providers, haven't been able to solve this. And that's because they're not thinking about where this all starts. And it starts with the consumer. What is the experience that we want consumers like ourselves to have. And we've designed a product that really takes into consideration those experiences by, from day one, being able to connect customer journeys, right? Being able to escalate from one channel to another seamlessly. I mean, we think about our iPhones, right? And I don't know about you, but I'm an iPhone user, right? We pay $1,000 for this thing, right? And the reality is that if you think about it, one of the reasons why we attribute this value and are willing to pay $1,000 is because I can go from a voice, I can escalate to a FaceTime video, I can send an SMS to a customer to that same person while I'm in FaceTime. I can terminate the call, see all of my engagements with that individual, be that my daughter, my wife, right? All on one single device, right? We pay $1,000 for this. Contact centers spend $500,000 to $1 million+ every year in architecting these environments and these solutions, and the experiences continue to fall short. So we've built a platform that allows our users to not have to be, you don't need an army of engineers. You can craft these experiences that allow people to very seamlessly and easily, traverse channels, and you have a complete view of your customer experience. And then, of course, you add all that can be done with AI, both on the front end as well as when you're talking to an agent and how you can assist an agent. Some pretty powerful shit. So I'm really excited about it. If you don't notice, I kind of light up when we start talking about this stuff.
That's awesome. I love the passion. And kind of going to your analogy where you mentioned the iPhone, because I'm an iPhone user as well. And in the scenarios that you put, one of the reasons why I love just the Apple ecosystem just so much is because, from what you just mentioned, to be able to see like a phone call, take a FaceTime call, take a that, is that I can go from that same device, go to my MacBook Pro that I have, or my Mac Air, or my iMac, and I can literally see the exact same thing. It's all integrated into one. So,
yep.
One thing that I think is the biggest challenge that I feel that people face with contact centers, or just in general customer service, is that ability to have that information transfer from one system to another. I'll give an example, kind of like stuff in my organization that we currently use, is that we use Microsoft Teams. Very common. I think a lot of people in the industry kind of use Teams as an internal communication tool, and also as a tool to accept and take phone calls and make outgoing calls. And we have another system that we have for incoming ticketing system, which is called Zendesk, another popular tool that everybody uses. So there's no integration between the two. We get a call within Teams.
You're probably going to get some calls now from someone who says, I've built an integration to the.
Hopefully, if they're out there, I'm always welcome to, explore different things. I'm a tech enthusiast. So I like to try new things. So if there is out there, love to try it.
By the way, Edify can solve that all in one platform.
Okay. That's kind of what I was getting to the point, though, is that kind of what you meant is that, sometimes it gets lost between translation, right? Where, if we have you take a typical, and this is more from like internal spot, is like, I'm an IT department, or say I'm a help desk, and I get a phone call for an incoming call. So I get a phone call saying we have something going on with our computers, blah, blah, blah. As a technician, go and dial in, take care of it, do whatnot, fix it. Maybe I forget to go into the system to log the actual ticket and, essentially say, okay, yeah, this customer called, they had a blue screen on a computer, rebooted machine, all good, bye. And then close it out. If that help desk technician did not open that ticket and put that information there, and all of a sudden whoever the customer is on the other side calls again, gets a different person, right? I think you see where I'm going with this. Same problem. And now all of a sudden it's the same thing over again of like, okay, the initial troubleshooting steps, instead of being able to look up and see, there was a call that was just, 20 minutes ago with the same issue. All they did was reboot it, just to have the person, reboot it again and you're good, or whatever solution is. That's those integrations between those different tools, I think, is pretty important to have for just that better customer experience, and also just for the internal department as well to be able to be productive and to increase productivity.
Yep. Totally, 100%, and it's one of the many challenges that have plagued contact centers and customer experience centers for decades. And it's these, what we've deemed as CTI integrations, and then they break down, and then you've got poor agent performance or poor agent adherence that leads to issues like the tickets not being created as they should, and then of course customers getting frustrated, and it just becomes kind of a snowball situation. Imagine though, if rather than having to depend on that IT professional who we really value because she fully understands the technology stack, knows how to solve a problem, if we didn't have to, put that weight on you, James, as let's say you were the IT agent, to have to open the ticket. So imagine if now, based on what is being said, and obviously the power of conversational AI and real-time transcription, that we can automatically open the ticket based on what is being said by the customer on behalf of the agent, right? Log the customer issue, transcribe the conversation, automatically extract from that an actual problem, potentially even recommend a solution for that agent and say, oh, hey, by the way, the reason why that's not working is because your whiz-bang thing, you didn't toggle this thing on and off. If you do that, automatically it'll get fixed. Great, right? And then having the system auto, what we call disposition, or close out or auto wrap that conversation, right? That used to be, Star Trekky and Star Wars type stuff, right. A decade or two ago. That has all come to fruition today. And it's really the power of combining all of these communication modalities and all of these, and our platform like ours with conversational AI and the power of AI to do this, right? To very quickly solve a customer's problem, ensure that there's adherence, that the ticket is created, that the customer's issue is properly logged, that the issue is properly dispositioned, and oh, by the way, that you now start to build a database of common issues so that when that customer goes to the website and chats, I was having XYZ issue, that they don't need to get routed back to James, but that there's now, a language model and obviously, and you've got a database of answers that can be leveraged to solve that customer's problem without a live human being. So those problems that continue to challenge organizations have been solved. The problem, James, and I just want to add this before I be quiet here, is that you can't just throw technology at it. And this is a problem that is often made by a ton of contact centers. You put out this massive RFP and this RFI with, every whiz-bang feature you can possibly imagine, right? You put it out, vendors respond, you finally select a vendor, and then you don't really fully adopt all of the power of what that vendor is offering you. And you revert back to, let's just replicate what I had before in the cloud versus taking an opportunity to step back and going, let me reimagine that experience from beginning to end, and leveraging the power of a platform like Edify, redesign that entire end-to-end experience. Too often, we just throw technology at a problem and then fail to take a step back and think, what are we trying to solve here, and reimagine those experiences.
Interesting. Okay, I have a couple takeaways. It's kind of going back initially from what.
Yeah, that was a bit long-winded. Sorry.
No problem. No, I love it. I love the conversation. You mentioned a little bit about AI, and one from initial question I was going to ask is, why would a customer want to go to like a contact center solution? And we kind of talked on that. There's a lot of different benefits that you can add. Being able to have everything integrated, the AI aspect, productivity, and whatnot, which is great.
And reliability.
Absolutely.
100%. Contact centers are mission critical. You live and die by those customer calls, and if you can't answer their calls, you've got a problem.
That definitely. You also mentioned the point of just being able to have everything that you currently do today mimic in the cloud, just kind of like copy and paste type of thing in the cloud. And I'm a big believer in that. That's some of the, I think, mostly the standard practices that they're like, okay, I want to be able to have everything that we have, take it off the legacy stuff, put it on the cloud, make sure it's like exactly the same. Okay, cool. If we're good, we're away from our old on-prem server. We don't have that anymore. Perfect. Now, what can we do in the cloud? What can we tear out, integrate, renew, what have you? I like the concept of this completely reinventing the wheel. That I think that's kind of scary for like a lot of organizations, a lot of companies, to be able to say, okay, hey, we're just going to completely retrain and we're just going to have a day zero cutoff. And then from day now, we're going to run on this new platform, this new style. I do think a lot of companies like to run in parallel, where they like to have a set of the old ways and then also set in the new ways, and then talk about the differences. Hey, what do you like? What do you dislike? And whatnot. So I see the the advantages in both. Um, love to hear your arguments against that. And then one other thing we mentioned is AI, and I love AI. I'm a huge proponent of AI. But what would you say?
Before we jump into the AI thing, can I
Yeah, yeah,
answer your previous question?
please.
Yeah, and I don't, and please don't misunderstand me. There is no 100% proven way that all of this should be done. What is often lacking is executive sponsorship at the C-suite
I agree.
to meaningfully drive transformation. And all too often, what happens is that there's a lot of great intentions, right? When you move an on-prem or legacy platform over to the cloud, right? That's a great first step, right? The problem is that then the innovation stops because other priorities come about and other things all of a sudden surface to be and come up to be more important. And then all of those plans that someone had at one point to reimagine die, which is why that is important that if you take that iterative step, that there is executive alignment and buy-in to meaningfully invest in the transformation, which can happen as part of a phase 2, phase 3, and there is a crawl, walk, run, right? But all too often, what happens is we just move to the cloud. Oh, we're there. Oh, it's working. Just leave it, versus thinking about how to reimagine that experience. So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, that's funny. And initially, you're in the same spot where you were. Yeah, is there a little bit better? Yes, you're in the cloud. Maybe you have better redundancy, more reliability, like you mentioned, but you're still stuck in the same spot that you were.
Yeah, yeah. So going back to your AI question, sorry.
No problem. The AI part of it is, how would you face organizations that are scared of AI? You get the common thing of like, this is going to replace me. This is going to take my job. I always approach it as AI is a wonderful thing. It's more of a tool in order to help the person instead of taking away like said functions of a person or just completely replacing. As you said earlier, we cannot replace the human completely, but we can give them different tools in order to help them do their job better. How would you approach a customer who's afraid of AI?
I think it was recently an article where I read Bill Gates's point of view on this, and he said like we forget that. I think it was him, so I don't want to incorrectly attribute it, but he talked about these technologies are powered by humans, right? And they're there to assist humans when it comes to customer care and customer engagement all around, right? Like, look, the reality is that conversational AI in general, will transform the face of the customer care space pretty significantly. And I tell people that actually, we just had a conversation about this, myself and my mentor recently, that the agent population, what we consider traditional contact center agent population, will very likely pretty significantly be reduced, right? And that doesn't mean that they will be eliminated, but you will have, elements of your customer care organization that frankly don't need a live human being to do the work, like open a ticket, like report an outage, get a status of a package, process a return or a refund. Like it's just baffling to me that there's still a myriad, so many companies that have not adopted that. And we'll see an acceleration through the adoption of AI in general, of more self-serve, right? Which I think customers will like, but there will always be that moment when you just want to talk to a live human being because there needs to be a point of escalation, and that's where there needs to be a point of escalation to a live human being. And even then, when you talk about an agent in a contact center, there's so many ways that an agent can be supported by an AI bot, as an example, right? Agents, I'm not sure if you know this, James, but the agents are the biggest cost in a contact center. And some contact centers are plagued with up to 100% plus attrition annually. That means that you're bringing in a class of agents, you're training them, and then within a month or two, a lot of these people end up going. One is because they hate their tools. They hate that they're always on the receiving end of bad news. It's a tough job, sure, right? Imagine now if we can leverage AI to empower those agents with the right answers that they need, right? So that James is a happier customer, better coaching, very quickly provide them the knowledge article or the information they need to give to that customer, autocomplete functions that typically they would have to do. Like, for example, a transfer, right? You get to a live agent, you go, hey, I want to transfer $2,000 from my savings to my checking account, and maybe I'm averse to using technology, the mobile applications, the IVR, and I decide to do this with a live agent. That's great. You have a live human being, but does the agent really have to go and do that transfer when you already have a pre-authenticated customer? You can have all of that happen in the background, right, using AI, right? So the agent is there as the human experience because you want a human experience, but now you're using AI to empower that agent and quickly resolve that call and shorten the total talk time so that you can, get that agent onto the next call and address that customer's issue in an expeditious and obviously in a satisfactory way. So, when people are like, "Oh, I'm not sure about AI," look, AI is all about just self-serve. And don't you as a consumer just sometimes want to solve problems on your own? The problem is that you're not being given the ability to do that. And the more contact centers shift their thinking to understanding that AI is just a tool to create a more efficient, optimized, personalized experience that even we as consumers would all love, the faster we're going to get to that kind of panacea. I have one little nugget to share. I heard from a customer once that said to me, and I was kind of baffled by this, but they manage a fairly large contact center of prepaid credit cards, prepaid gift cards. And this head of innovation said to me that when a call gets routed to a live agent, they consider it a defect and a bug.
Interesting.
And I was like, what?
Huh.
What do you mean by that? And he's like, don't get me wrong. If a call gets routed to a live agent, it does. I'm not saying that we don't want to talk to a live agent, but what that shows us, and we treat this as an engineering defect, is that we failed to anticipate what James was going to ask us for in the IVR or the mobile experience or the website. And we've got to go now look and see if there's a way of addressing it so that that person never has to speak to someone again. Right. So it's a shift in mindset, right?
I love that
I have.
idea, and I love that
I
thought.
loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was so powerful. The problem is that there are very few technologies that allow you to do that easily. You need an army of engineers to do that. And going back to Edify, we make it very simple for someone to be able to do that through our no-code platform.
So you mentioned also the gift cards, and you kind of mentioned credit cards. The solution was for gift card things, though. So when it comes to everybody's data and everybody's stuff having in the cloud, and people kind of get wary of that as far as like just security and overall compliance of everything. We have CCPA now, we have PCI, GDPR, and all the fun little acronyms that a lot of people don't really know what they mean. How does Edify approach as far as security, customer data, and protection in that sense?
It's part of how we engineer and develop our products. And by the way, I'm just going to say this because it isn't unique to us. Anyone that is in the contact center space, in particular, anyone who's delivering a cloud solution, that's table stakes. You've got to be able to adhere with GDPR, PCI, HIPAA compliance, and those are all the Edify checks off all of those boxes to ensure that our customers' data is secured both at rest and in transit and encrypted appropriately to ensure that that the customer's data is secure at all times. One thing that I think that we can do that's fairly unique as well is that we can ring fence geographies, right? So as I mentioned, I think I may have mentioned this earlier, is that we live in 37 simultaneous geographies in data regions across the globe, a combination of AWS and GCP. And one of the things that we can do for our customers in EMEA, as an example, is we can ring fence the customer's instance, right, into a specific region, so that if you did not want any of your data traversing or leaving your geographic boundaries or of your continent, the EU or even the US, we can go ahead and provide those boundaries to protect your customers' data. So, by the way, this is, to me, it's like this is table stakes.
Sure.
and any player in this space that is not able to provide, attestation of, PCI compliance, GDPR, HIPAA, so on and so forth, is a little behind and needs to invest some money in catching up on that front.
I agree. It's pivotal. It's one of those things that come up definitely in the industry. I think it's a lot more with customers' data, especially being in California. That's where I'm at. CCPA is very huge, and it's still, the laws are being developed for that, and like it's not even set to actually have, like, if you ask a couple of people in the industry, like, what is this, like, CCPA, there's different answers for each one. So it's coming up to one of those questions. Okay, like when they either get a customer request of somebody to scrub said data, to be able to have a seamless process in order to scrub that person's data of, like, I'm James and I don't want said company to have information about me, and to be able to either have some type of contact form or some type of way to just kind of go in there and have my data completely scrubbed, and have the confidence of that I no longer exist on said platform. I think that's a lot of where that is coming from. To that.
Yep, absolutely. Something that we can definitely solve for our customers.
Right. I guess really kind of last then, and we kind of talked about it back and forth though, but as far as the industry shaping in contact center, like, what do you think in the next couple of years, 5 years, 10 years of the platform, of where it's going, and where do you think like some of the biggest things will happen to shape, or trends to shape the industry?
Oh my God, I think that the arriving at that panacea is going to accelerate for us. And I think that this comes with the adoption of AI and the power of generative AI and the ability to auto-generate intents and lexicons and entire contact flows and interaction flows, right? Like, one of the key challenges that faces our space is that it takes a lot of time to think through those experiences and build out historically all of the models and the intents to understand, what are the possible things James can ask for when he hits our chatbot or hits our IVR. Now we're seeing, and I've seen this live in demos, where you've got platforms that leveraging, some of the large language models can very quickly auto-generate for you all of the possible intents given a very basic description of the problem. That then allows us to very quickly turn up these self-service experiences that are rich, that are carefully crafted, that are personalized. So, like, for me, what really excites me is like the channel and modality that no longer excites people, right? And if you don't do chat today, and if you're not doing email routing, and if you're not doing voice routing, please go back to 2001 and 2002, right? Like, that is the basics. And every contact center provider, customer engagement provider should be able to do that. Now, how do you now harness the power of AI, right? That is really what is going to, I think, differentiate the stack. And this is still a fairly crowded space, and we're going to see consolidation. We're going to see the acceleration of adoption of AI in general when it comes to customer care. And then I think the dream, and I say this as a dream because I love to think about what this end state would be, but the dream of that truly frictionless, personalized omni-channel experience where I am known at all times while my data is still protected, right? And I can also choose to share what I want and don't want to share. Like, that dream is coming. And I think that it's innovators like Edify and others that are leading the way at and showing that it's kind of a version 2, a cloud version 2 for our space, right? Of like, it's no longer great just enough that you were born in the cloud. It's also how you're architected and how you can now harness the power of all of this AI to really bring meaningful and differentiated experiences. And that's where I think Edify really stands out.
Awesome.
Did that answer your question,
yeah,
James?
I love the vision, and I see everything that you said. I agree with. And I think it's pivotal to have organizations kind of need to explore, especially any type of retail environment or e-commerce or anything like that, to be able to explore their way that they do customer service in general, to make sure that they have all the different endpoints covered, especially from a millennial aspect. Yeah,
totally. But it's not only the customer care; it's also how do you market to those people, right? Based on what you know, their journeys, the channels and modalities of choice.
Yes.
Right. Like how you're going to market to my mom is very different than how you would market to me, very different than how you would market to my 25-year-old daughter. Right. So
Totally.
like it's using that data holistically across the entire organization to think about how are you engaging with your customers across all these different touch points, from marketing to sales to support.
Interesting. I think when we talk about this space too, because I think a lot of people, and me especially, I guess I'm more single-minded focused when it comes. So a lot of the conversations I've thought about just customer service as a general, as a whole, wasn't even thinking about the marketing side, not so much, or even being able to better market towards, say, different generational demands type of thing.
It's data. It's data, and it'd be a waste if a company is not harnessing that data to think through, this is my customer base. How do they engage with me? And thinking about how to meaningfully engage with them, right, over the channels of their choice. It's a miss. It's a miss.
Totally.
For a number of large companies.
Yep.
With deep pockets too. Companies have deep pockets that have not connected all these dots and realized that they're sitting on a gold mine.
Yeah.
Right. In terms of
platform itself is me as a person, whoever, if I shop at said establishment and they see my likely trends of what I get, and then maybe there's a marketing email that has a new sale on certain things that I purchase, all of a sudden, I'm targeted because I'm in that audience of the person who buys certain things. I get targeted emails based on that. I see, there's 20% off my favorite beer or whatever, and go buy that. And do you gain a customer in that sense? It's because of the data that is tracked between that transaction and all those endpoints being collected as a whole.
Totally. It's kind of creepy too, by the way. So
so there's that aspect too.
I don't want to gloss over the fact that there are a lot of ethical questions around how that data is used, and I think that companies need to ensure that there are strict guidelines to how that data is used, while still respecting the privacy of their customers.
That's a good point, and that kind of goes into the whole kind of question earlier about the security and compliance. I guess more quote unquote Big Brother, right? Because I'm sure as I'm talking about beer, my iPhone's going to give me some type of ads in the next, like Miller Lite or some type of beer ads coming across on Facebook, because it always tends to happen. Because people, at least that's what we think, right? We consciously think that. Either my Alexa in the corner over here or my iPhone is constantly listening to the conversations that I currently have. And based off of that, I get targeted ads based on what I am talking about.
When this is on YouTube, am I going to see now a bunch of like Yingling, Heineken, little ads
all
popping
kinds
up?
of little pop-up stuff. Yeah, we're going to monetize the shit out of this. Absolutely. So
Contact centers and beer.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, it's a perfect combination.
Yeah, $1 million idea right there. I do think people do get scared of that aspect, and that can kind of almost turn off either customers for that type of experience of not wanting their data kind of transferred. I guess they don't understand, I guess, the value of what that it can actually more the convenience. I know how the data goes and I know how it works, so I see it more as a convenience versus more of a fear. Like, people don't want.
As do I.
People don't want Skynet happening, right? Like all of a sudden they know I love Dr. Pepper and I'm a gamer, so I'm whatever targeted towards that particular group of people. So I think that's the biggest fear with data, and a lot of these other things like CCPA and stuff like that to be able to scrub people's data is based out of fear, because people don't want their data transferred back and forth. They don't want to be targeted in a certain aspect.
Yeah, and I think it's all about look, at the end of the day, consumers need to be given the option, right? And all this is just about thoughtfully architected environments where you give your consumers the option to opt in and out as needed, and protect their own data. Totally. No, but nobody needs to know that you love beer, James. That's.
I mean, it's out there.
Only if you want to share that.
I don't think it's a secret. It's out there that I do. Well, great, Tony. This has been a great conversation. I'm going to give you the opportunity if anything else you want to add to besides the last type of words before we sign off here.
Yeah, no, totally enjoyed it. Thank you so much, James. We really appreciate the opportunity to share our story and our point of view in this space. We're building a business that is heavily focused on partners, So to the degree that there are, and there's a very large ecosystem of partners out there in our space, if you're a partner looking for a partner that is bringing technology to market that is both disruptive, but also highly innovative and gives you an opportunity to bring a new set of skills and capabilities and a point of view to your end clients, please reach out to Edify. We're more than happy to engage, provide you all of the onboarding and engagement and training material you need. Our partner ecosystem is central to our go-to-market motion. So this is why partnerships like MR2 are important to us, and we want to continue to drive innovation through our partners.
Awesome. That's great. Tony, again, thank you for your time this morning. It was awesome speaking with you. And
thank you.
You take care, my friend.
Take care, buddy. Have a great one.